My ear just popped and it really hurts. Ow. Oy. Hello peeps, I am Ducky, also known as Ducky Craft, the channel that you're on, and don't tread on me, I'm a duck, on TikTok. On TikTok I talk mostly about type 1 diabetes and being a caregiver and the joys of all of that combined, whereas here on YouTube I'm mostly Am I the Asshole content, and I'm not 60 seconds into the video, so I'm probably going to get restricted by YouTube. YouTube, the 90s called, they'd like their censorship goblins back. But leave the Furbies. We like the Furbies. Kind of. If you know, you know. Anyway, and a little bit of anti-MLM. If you're not really into the MLM stuff, I have plenty of AITA stuff. And if you're not into AITA stuff, once in a great blue moon, I upload some reaction videos. Reaction videos I have to actually edit, and I am terrible at editing, so they don't happen as often. Anyway, let's get the house cleaning out of the way. I really need to sneeze. If my nose gets really, really red, it's because I really need to sneeze. I am a swamp witch after all. I mean, clearly I'm covered in moss. Love this wig. So, I lost my train of thought. I hate it when I do that. House cleaning. Let's get the house cleaning out of the way. Like, subscribe, comment, do all of the YouTubey things. Get me in the algorithm. Get me those 200 to 300 views per video. More if the algorithm decides it likes me, which, you know, I can only sacrifice so much to the YouTube gods. Let me rephrase that. I'm only willing to sacrifice so much to the YouTube gods. Anyway, moving right along, we have us another Am I the Asshole post. And it's kind of a family drama one, and it deals with therapy. I might have slightly read ahead. One of the few times I do that. It's also kind of in the title. So the title is, Am I the Asshole for not letting my biodad and his wife adopt me and refusing to comply with family therapy? If you know my background, it is as a counselor. While I was doing the certification, I'm awake, I was doing the licensing for clinical therapy, but we had a thing, I'm going to C19, because if you use the full phrase, you automatically get restricted on YouTube, again, about the censorship goblins. So the pandemonium kind of happened, and I still haven't gotten all of my hours. I don't want to talk about it. But that is my background, is a little bit in clinical therapy, also as a registered behavioral technician, and I have done quite a bit in social work. I was actually listed as a social worker for a good year and a half. So, let's get into it. There's a lot of background, but I'll condense it down for everyone and try to make it easy to follow. My biodad walked out when I was a few months old. Deadbeat. He and my mom weren't married, and the three of us had lived with my biodad's parents. After my biodad walked out, me and mom continued living with them. My mom died when I was 3. Oh. Before she died, she had my grandparents adopt me. Okay. She got my biodad to sign off on it, which he did, and my aunts and uncle said he was happy to do it. Well, somebody else is taking responsibility. I can have a trophy child and not be responsible. Deadbeat. I lived with my uncle. Oh wait, Grandpa. I skipped ahead a paragraph. Grandpa died when I was 9, and my grandma when I was 13. Oh. Grandma tried to get him to take some interest in me after Grandpa died, but he didn't. Deadbeat. I lived with my uncle for a few months until my biodad fought for custody and won. Oh, crap. I don't know why my biodad... I can't think. I didn't know my biodad at that point. The only time I saw him was at Grandpa and then Grandma's funerals. I was almost 14 when I was sent to live with my biodad and his family. I'm 17 now. I didn't want to live with my biodad. I wanted to live with my uncle or any of my aunts and uncles. I know them. I grew up with them. They were in my life this whole time. My biodad, being biodad, won out with a judge who dismissed everything my therapist said. Oh, I've been there, and that pisses me off on so many levels. Now that I'm here, I'm pretty angry at him for pulling me away from everyone I know and love. Even 3 years later, I'm still angry at him. He's married and has 5 kids under 10. He wanted a free babysitter, let's be real. All of them have tried to get me to give in and become a part of their family, but I'm not willing to do that. So my biodad and his wife decided the 3 of us need family therapy. You're 17. Little late. They also wanted me to give my consent to them adopting me. You're 17. It's a little late. Biodad tried to adopt me when he got custody, but the judge did listen to me on that, and I refused to give my consent. I sit in therapy every week, and I don't engage. We've cycled through about 7 therapists in 2 years, and they're trying to find someone who can make me engage. As a therapist, I got some bad news for them. They're also giving me more shit for refusing the adoption. Some of Biodad's kids asked me to please be their brother and be adopted and be family. Okay, that's manipulative. The parents are bringing the little kids into it. That's manipulative. I always tell them their parents are not mine and I don't belong in this family, that I belong with my family. It upsets them, which angers Biodad and his wife, but I won't give in just for random kids. My uncle tried to fight for custody again a few months ago, but again, my wishes were dismissed. I told my Biodad if he let me go, I might not hate him and his whole family. He told me he wants me to embrace the family, not move away and never see them again. I got some real bad news for Biodad. Real bad news. My dad's wife's parents are at their house all the time. They started to scold me over rejecting the adoption and not participating in therapy. I told them to mind their own business a few times. Biodad told me it was unacceptable and I needed to stop being this way. He told me he's my real dad and him adopting me corrects a mistake that was made. A mistake that he made. That he's mad that he has to deal with the consequences of. I told him I'll never let that happen. The therapist we're currently in sessions with is also pushing me to accept... Bad therapist. Sorry, I'll finish the sentence. Is also pushing me to accept the adoption even though I don't engage. I'm so sick of this and I've got a countdown going for my 18th birthday when my uncle comes to get me, meaning he has an out plan. But am I the asshole for being so stubborn with my position? So I started to read earlier as I don't know why my dad. Honestly, that's where I'm at. I mean, if he wasn't engaged with you until you were 14, he came along because the wife, the current wife, was like, but you have a child with another woman and you need to bring this child into your life and we need to be a family. She has this lofty idea. I have some bad news for her. That's not how that works. And if this is really the way it's going, family therapy advice here, do not try and push a kid into something they don't want to do, especially, you made the mistakes a lot of years ago. This is on you, Biodad, sperm donor. And you can't force a kid to do therapy. And I don't know, like, I literally had to tell a licensed therapist, I had to look her straight in the face and go, how the fuck did you get your license? You cannot force a child to open up to you. You cannot force a child to do therapy. You cannot force a child to understand very big concepts. If they don't want to do that, if they don't want to do anything, you can't make them. I can't go into that kid's mind and change the wiring in their brain. Nor would I want to. But that is kind of that, don't even get me started on ABA. If you know, you know. Oh my God. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of therapists fall back on is, well, but you need to change. They might need to change, but until they want to change, it's not going to happen. Then again, I did play therapy with adults, so there's that. Kinetic sand. It's amazing how much that opens people up. They're just like, I like to play with sand. Sorry, rant. Moving on. So the first comment, and I'm going to probably just go down most of the thread because OP responds a couple of times. No Atmosphere states, I'll never understand parents who abandon one kid and then go and have a family with kids with another person. Don't give in to their pressure. Your uncle is a hero, not the asshole. OP responds, I've heard the argument that people can grow up, but then you don't have the right to expect the kid or kids you left to go, yay, for the new family. You don't have the right to expect them to become a part of it. Agreed. Sounds like OP really has been in therapy. But mind you, he mentioned in the original post that they took him, I'm assuming it's a him, I don't think OP actually stated gender. They did not. So I'm going with he, but OP may not be a he. He had stated that they took him away from his prior therapist, and now they've gone through like 7 therapists in 2 years. That right there signifies a major problem. Therapist, you're not going to gel and identify with your therapist right away. This is, oh my gosh, BetterHelp is never going to sponsor me after I say this. This is why I don't like BetterHelp's, if you don't like your therapist, you need to try a new one mentality. You're not going to gel after the first session. You're going to need 2, if not 3 sessions. And I say 3. 3 is the charm. Give it three tries. And if you're still not gelling with that therapist, that does happen. You know, therapists are human beings too, and you don't always gel with them. So it's okay to not gel with the therapist and need somebody else. But unless they've done something egregious and outright inappropriate in the first time meeting them, you have to try and give it a chance. And this, well, you can just change your therapist mentality. Yes, you can. Of course, you can. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you need to give it a good college try. Just changing right away, unless there's something egregious going on, isn't going to help you in the long run. It's the quitter mentality. Oh God, I sound terrible and I hate myself for that. But it's the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. And I know somebody's going to comment that you're wrong. And I'll be like, have you actually had a therapist for longer than one session? Didn't think so. Be quiet. So someone was, responds to him in, I'm going to try and say it, invisibilism? It's kind of, if that is the name, that's kind of a cute name. Responds to OP and says, has a lawyer explained anything about your grandparents' will and estate? Are you aware of any restrictions on what your legal guardian can access? Oh, crap. That's a good point. Oh, snap. There may be an ulterior motive on biodad's end. Maybe find out about locking down credit just in case. ETA, I'm sorry you've had so much loss. Soon you'll be able to go where you choose. And OP responds, I never talked to a lawyer about any of that. I mean, it's a kid. Why would he think of that? I didn't even think of it. When I move back home, I will. Absolutely. That could be a reason that biodad is suddenly wanting back in kiddo's life and suddenly wanting his child back. Sounds like grandma and grandpa might have had land or money or something, and biodad wants access to it. Yikes. And then invisibilism responds back, maybe ask your uncle about that side. With 5 kids, your dad needs money, and it would be good to know what you had and how it's being managed. Ask to see the actual will and speak to the lawyers who managed it and the executor. And then Structure Key responds to that with ding, ding, ding. Never occurred to me. Biodonor under Undearest is after whatever OP may have inherited, and OP may not even be aware of what he's inherited. And then Malphus responds to that. It's possible that he was cut out of the will entirely after Grandma saw the biodad was not going to take any interest at all. In OP, and changed her will to make sure OP was taken care of. Yikes. And then someone responds to that, if your legal guardian has access rights to your inheritance while you're a minor, then your whole inheritance can be drained by now or by the time you hit 18 and move home. Talk to your uncle and the lawyer who handle your grandparents' inheritance. Do it now. Yikes. Didn't even think of that. That took a turn. Wow, that took a dark turn. So definitely not the asshole, and lots of my opinions sprinkled in there about therapy and trying to force therapy on a kid. Especially when there are ulterior motives of, but we're a family. No, you're not. And if that kid doesn't want to be part of the family, they don't have to be. You cannot force that on them. You think you can, but you can't. So thanks if you've made it this far. God, that took a dark turn. I don't know, comment Harry Frog down below or something. Where do I come up with these? Green hair. It's the green hair, I tell you. And, I've already gone over my, 10-minute limit. I know that. So thanks for hanging out. We'll do the second bout of house cleaning. Subscribe, do the YouTubey things, comment, Harry Frog. And, I will see you next week. I post every Tuesday. So I'll probably look the same because I do batch filming every Tuesday around 10 a.m. if you like this kind of content. And, I'll see you all later.